Communication is like mixing up chemicals. Sometimes it leads to exciting discoveries. Sometimes it just blows up. Wouldn't it be great? And blow-ups are messy. Blow-ups either in a chemical lab, in a conference room, or over the dining room table. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could figure out a way to lessen the amount of blow-ups we have and increase the amount of exciting discoveries? I have a formula. It's called the love formula. But before I talk to you about my love formula, I want to talk to you about why I am so passionate about communication. My literal nickname growing up was Shy. If you were to meet my mother on the street, she would introduce you to her two daughters, Donna and Shy. Growing up shy was like living my life in a straitjacket. I was able to break out of that straitjacket, and now I am devoted to releasing other people from the straitjacket of ineffectual communication. But before we can improve communication, I think it's important to figure out the chemistry of communication. And what I mean by that is what our brain does on communication, or what I should say is what our brains do on communication, because as many people know, we have three brains. Scientists call it the triune brain. We have our first brain, which is our instinctual brain, which deals with keeping us safe and alive. And some people call that the lizard brain. And then we have our second brain, which is our mammalian brain, which is our monkey brain. And that brain houses all our emotions and our feelings. And then we have our human brain, which is our intelligent, rational, decision-making part of the brain. So in order for communication to work, it has to navigate all those three brains. I think of it like if you wanted to get into one of those the hippest, hottest new New York City nightclubs, you'd show up and there'd be a bouncer, right? So the lizard brain is like your bouncer for communication. It checks out the body language, the vocal tone, and it makes sure that it's safe to let that communication in. So if it deems that it's safe to let that communication in, it ushers it into a waiting room, which is ruled by the monkey brain. And the monkey brain looks at everything and says, okay, does this trigger any emotion, positive or negative? And if it triggers a negative emotion, well, then the monkey brain starts to freak out, right? And he starts sending out and deploying its chemical weapon, which is cortisol. And it starts to shut down our human brain. So there we are. If our human brain is shut down and our logical brain is out of the picture, that leaves the monkey and the lizard running the show. And that's what leads to messy blow-ups. But we can alter the process of that messy blow-up with the love formula. Love stands for listen, understand, validate, and explore. So whenever you encounter an individual, especially if it's someone that you have an issue with, start with listening. And I mean really listening. Listen with your ears and your eyes. Listen with the intent to empathize, not criticize. Second, understand. Say something that indicates that you understand where that person is coming from. Even if you don't agree with them, you can understand them. Third is to validate. Find something inside that person to agree with or validate, because when a person feels validated and understood, they issue positive feelings. And then the monkey brain sends out its feel-good hormones. And the feel-good hormones start to build rapport. And once you start to build rapport, you can invite the fourth element, which is explore. Find ways to explore a mutual understanding. You can explore by expressing a new opinion, or expressing yourself and your differing opinion, or a fresh new idea. You can also explore by asking exploratory questions that often have the result of shifting that person to a new way of thinking. I believe that now, more than ever, we need to carefully cultivate our communication. And I believe the love formula can do that. So I invite you to experiment with my love formula so that you will have fewer blow-ups and more exciting discoveries.
Thank you. Robyn Hatcher spoke so impactfully about communication. What I loved most was how she tied in her own personal experience to transforming as a communicator after hearing that she was shy her entire life growing up, and how she is so not shy now as a communicator. And it was wonderful to see that demonstrated on stage, and she really makes a great impact on her audience. So I really enjoyed hearing Robyn Hatcher.
She's the ultimate communicator in so many ways, and she captured my attention. I wanted to hear more, and her story is fascinating, and so Robyn kind of kicked off the evening with great energy and excitement.
She spoke on the topic of communication and the chemistry of it. And she was a little bit of a nerd. And yeah, she did touch upon neuroscience, but I will tell you that her topic is spot on. And I truly enjoyed, everything that she came to the table with.